Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Spill, a movie night podcast. I'm your host, Chelsea. Film Spill, if you already don't know, is a podcast that comes out every week, and we talk about a movie by a female filmmaker every episode. We also discuss women in the entertainment industry in general. We play slumber party type games, we spill entertainment gossip, and we get to know each other and our guest. This week is a solo episode, so it is just me, myself, and I, but I got a lot in store for us, so I can't wait to discuss all the updates and all the new information that I've gathered throughout the last couple of weeks. So when I last did this solo episode, I was still job searching. I've been job searching for quite some time now, and I finally landed something, so yay, super excited about that. And before now, so like a few months ago, there was a lot of layoffs and I was not understanding what was going on. Was everyone's job at jeopardy? Like, was there even any jobs? And now that, like, I guess the new quarter is about to start or has started, I don't know how the quarters function, but I feel like nice weather is emerging, so now all these jobs have opened up and just like all these resources have emerged. So there's definitely some new things that I learned this time around going into my job searching, and I never anticipated for LinkedIn to come through. Okay, and never say never, honestly. So I was on LinkedIn and someone had posted that they've never actually booked a job on LinkedIn. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, so what's the purpose of like thousands of people getting on LinkedIn and like really trying to network? Like what's the whole purpose of this platform? And you know, I noticed myself that like I really wasn't getting hired from anything on LinkedIn. And I'm like, okay, well, if it doesn't happen for me, it doesn't happen to me. But like I'm just going to keep applying to these jobs on LinkedIn because like some of them are really easy to apply to. Like it's called Easy Apply. I think Indeed does the same thing, but you click like another like two more buttons and it already has like your information saved, and like bam, you just send out an application. And honestly, after sending so many, you want those easy ones that you can just shoot on out. So the job that I actually got was one of those that I just did a quick easy apply and actually got the job. So I'm really excited. I'm like really nervous, yet I'm ready for this like new journey because it's completely different than what I've done. Not like, okay, I'm not saying that I'm not qualified for this. That made it sound like I was. I'm completely changing from working in production to now doing like more creative marketing. And I feel like that's where I can like lean and hone in on my skills a lot more. And it's taking me a lot, but now like spending more time doing like social media stuff, I've really just like loved being able to be creative, be able to shoot content, still feel like I'm creating stories. I mean, not necessarily them being shown on TV and film, but like, hey, maybe one day, especially with Tell You Soon. Like Tell You Soon is still my directorial short film that I'm still working on. So that's something that's going to emerge soon. So I still plan to do like my independent filmmaking, but I don't anticipate to work in production as much anymore. I think I want to start heading towards a new direction. We'll see where life takes me, but that's where I'm at right now. It's a little scoop and 411 of the update on my life. But anywho, going on to some resources that I really found helpful this time around were one, the LinkedIn. Definitely get yourself on LinkedIn. There's some great opportunities on there that you can't find anywhere else, especially like things on like Indeed that you won't be able to find there. So there's this page on Instagram that does like a lot of things like celebrity wise, but they've been posting some things about assistant work, and that transferred over to me finding this staffing agency that Jennifer Lawrence's former assistant had created, you know, in order to get people assistant work as well in the industry. So I tapped right in, I sent in my resume and application, But then I got the offer for this position. So I'm like, okay, well then there's really no point. But definitely think maybe it would be a great idea to still like send in your information. You never know. If you're looking for personal assistant work, that's something that I recommend. Holly List was good. It gave a lot of like unknown jobs, but it did charge. I was able to get it for free because I tricked the system like that. But if you can trick the system like I did, it could be free, but they charge you like $10 a month, and I didn't book anything from there, nor did I hear back. There are Discord groups as well that helped me. I got an interview from a Discord personal assistant group. What else? What else was good? Yeah, I also think that like starting to do side hustles is definitely the way to go now in 2023. I'm seeing a lot more people doing it, a lot more people taking advantage of social media, utilizing that for extra income. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're making videos or you're making TikToks. I've learned a lot more about like digital marketing and making money, but not necessarily having physical products or using like affiliate marketing. Like there's money in marketing, guys. So yeah, those are some things that I found helpful this time around when doing my little job search hunting fiasco that I feel like lasted forever. But yeah, if you guys feel like you're interested in having more of these resources, please let us know and email us at filmspillpod@gmail.com. And if you're struggling and you can't find this information online, or like people aren't telling you what you want to hear, or they're charging you for information, let me know, because I'm willing to give you this information for free. And what's really irking me nowadays is that people have been charging for any type of information that they're willing to give you. And so YouTube used to be a really good resource for people. I mean, it still is a really good resource for people to learn from other creators, people who are like willing to like show you their secrets and give you their hacks and all that. But when I've recently been really getting back into YouTube and using it as a search engine tool. And I've recently noticed that a lot of people withhold information and do want to charge you for that. And especially when you're on there for a reason, like you're there because you need assistance, you need help, you need to get yourself out of a hole that you're already in. Like it could be many reasons, especially when we're in the job search market. A lot of things that I wish I would have known sooner before graduating college. Like I feel like it could have definitely benefited me when you're finally going in the real world and this career. Like the film industry is one of the hardest industries to break into, and you can break into it in many different ways, and there's different avenues that you can go through, and like there's just so much. Also, it's like also experience too. It's like when you go through it you learn, but you know, don't you just wish someone could just tell you some things? Like, come on, just say it. So I just think that certain information shouldn't be charged, and I feel like job searching, like job opportunities, shouldn't be something that's withheld. So let me know. Email me at filmspillpod@gmail.com. Okay, enough of me ranting about how to get money. I literally sound like a how to get rich fast scheme, but I'm not. I don't got that kind of information. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to just shout out Hulu and all of their series that they're coming out with. Like honestly, they've been popping. I've been loving it. A new show that just recently came on Hulu is based on a book by Cheryl Strayed called Tiny Beautiful Things. It is created by Liz Tiegler. So the book itself follows an online advice columnist who uses sugar as their online personality, and she uses her personal experiences to help real-life readers who pour their hearts out to her. This kind of reminds me like Reddit posts, how people post like on Reddit anonymously. In the Hulu series, we meet Claire and her marriage with her husband, Danny, that's barely surviving. She's not even living at home at the moment. Meanwhile, her teenage daughter, Ray, is pushing her away, and her once promising writing career doesn't seem to be going anywhere until she's offered this possible section to write as Sugar. At first she's refusing it, but obviously caves in. Writing seems to always have been a passion of hers, but then since recently losing her mom to cancer, she kind of, it made her withdraw from her passions. And you start seeing just like there's a lot of flashback moments between when her mother was alive to where she is currently in her 40s in her adult life, and things that have led up to where she's at now, like a Firefly Lane type of scenario, but it doesn't flash back to different eras. But yeah, it's really good. I binged it. I think there's 8 episodes out right now. I thought there was going to be more, but there's 8 that you can binge currently. And yeah, it's super, super good. And all of the season itself is directed by women. And there's 3 women who have directed the whole 8 episodes. Desiree Akhaven, Rachel Lee Goldenberg, and Stacey Passon. So Desiree directed 4 episodes, Rachel has directed 2, and Stacey has directed 2. It looks like all women had written for the show as well. So women wrote and directed for this series. So yes, Tiny Beautiful Things, go check it out. Alright, so let's get into this week's film discussion. I'm super duper okay, let me calm down. I'm super duper excited for this week's film. It is called Tell It to the Bees 2018, directed by Annabel Jankel. Tell It to the Bees 2018 is available to watch on Hulu or for free on Amazon Prime. This discussion will contain spoilers for the film, so if you haven't already seen it, go watch and then come back afterwards to hear my thoughts. So this film takes place in 1952. Dr. Jean Markleham returns to her Scottish hometown to take her late father's medical practice. She soon becomes ostracized by community when she begins a passionate romance with a woman who has a young son. This film reminds me of Portrait of a Lady on Fire-ish, because I guess like the tone of like the look, like if you look at the color palettes together, they have like similar resemblance. And, or I'll just say it now. So there's a moment where Lydia is talking to Charlie. Lydia's the mom and her son's Charlie. And there's a moment where they had gotten into this huge fight. And so he runs away because he believes that his mother has lied to him. And so she describes the fact that she didn't lie to him is that, you know, she didn't tell him there's certain things that aren't always told. And she says another thing about her being the same person, even though she has this love for Jean. She says something along the lines of, I'm still me. And I think that was just like a perfect just addition to that, because it's so true. And it's this conversation that you're having with your son who doesn't understand, who has been bullied about the fact that his mother is having this relationship with this woman. And so he's believing, he's like going along with what people are saying. But what I love is that neither one of them shun away from their love. Like Lydia states it to her son that she loves Jean, you know, she doesn't shy away from that. And towards the end too, they have a passionate kiss. And reminder, this is happening in 1952, so in the background you'll see like the background actors react to them kissing, like, oh, like what are they doing? And you know, this film kind of is like this turnaround too. It's this coming of age where they're finding their sexualities within each other, and as well as the community are accepting Jean for being who she is and being a community doctor, like just having, but like going back to that statement, like Jean is still who she is, and she's still good at her practice regardless of her sexual orientation. So yeah, I love this like turnaround in this story. Like I love the symbolism, and it's so like uniquely made. Yeah, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Like, I watched this, the first time I watched this film, I actually got this rec on Google. I was Googling films by female directors. And that goes to show, like, I didn't hear anything about this film when it came out in 2018. With a lot of films that have come out in the, recent years, directed by women, is that you don't hear about them. They don't publicize them enough. So, anywho, looked at the synopsis of the film. I thought it was pretty interesting. I'm like, okay, let me put it on. So I put it on. I got really hooked and intrigued. I love the tie into the title, Tell It to the Bees, because the little boy Charlie, he talks to the bees, because Jean kind of guides him in that direction where she says that you can tell the bees your secrets. Like, oh, so cute. And so he tells the bees his secrets, and he talks about his mom not being happy. And you see that as well if you watch the trailer. It gives you like a little snippet of that. But yeah, it's intriguing too that they use bees, because it's like bee handling. That's like a whole nother ball game. Like, I can only imagine like being on set with so many bees. Like, I would be so scared. Like, bees are cute. I love bees. They give you honey. But I'm not about it when bees start stinging. That's, no, not my forte. But let's get into Annabel Jankel for a bit. So Annabel was born in London. She started her career by directing music videos. That sounds like Sana Hamari. Yeah, definitely sounds similar. For people such as Talking Heads, Miles Davis, and Elvis Castillo. She directed features with her partner Rocky Morton, so the recent film Super Mario Bros. And Scaling the Owlman. She decided to pursue a career in art in her teens, but was especially inspired by film since she was a kid. And this is what she has to say. At a point in my early teens, I decided to pursue art, but I had already fallen in love with film as a young girl. In times of austerity in the early 60s, it was very rare and exotic experience to go to the movie theaters. I reread Gone with the Wind a few times and managed to convince my mother to take me to the cinema to see the film several times. It was the most mind-blowing experience to see how the book had come to life on this huge cinema screen. I found it to be a more stimulating and awe-inspiring experience than any other that I've experienced in my young life, and I thirst for more. But growing up in the London suburbs, there was no local cinema that I was allowed to go to on my own. My earliest memory of going to the cinema was to see Little Women in 1961, which broke my heart. I loved the sensation of being in the dark and taken on a journey on screen to a place that I'd never been before. I decided in my mid-teens that I wanted to be a filmmaker and would regularly go to art house cinema in North London to see films by inspirational directors. I went to film school to study animation. After 10 years, I moved over to live action with my first foray into long-form filmmaking with a television film, Max Headroom, 20 Minutes into the Future. Jankel describes the film as the following. This could be described as a period kitchen sink drama without the sinks. As unholy mashup of social and magical realism, it is a coming-of-age story and love story which happens to include thousands of bees. She was inspired by the complexity and uniqueness of Fiona Shaw's book, which Jankel adapted into the movie. About this, she details, I love the story and the quality of writing in Fiona Shaw's novel. I also wanted to direct a love story. I found the book to be an unexpected page-turner and was intrigued by all of the characters that made up a small town in post-war Britain. I was fascinated by the clash of class relationships and gender that existed. It was a microcosm of wider society in which homosexuality between men was a criminal offense in the United Kingdom. If it was between women, even conceivable, the concept was considered simply reprehensible. I like the cinematic opportunities afforded to a triangle between three main characters, in their quiet tensions within a walled-off society, as well as the eloping atmosphere of the bees. As I read the book, I was infused with a sense of wonder about the beauty and strangeness of the bee colonies and hives, and what they represented. I was fascinated by advances in tolerance and acceptance that had been taking place over the last 65 years, particularly over the past 10 years. I like the idea of representing a group in the cusp of change and how these developments in turn could inform the future in various countries and faiths. As a low-budget film, the movie got funding from several different financial resources. Like many low-budget films, it was a process with several financial entities ultimately providing different levels of funding and investment. The costume design was done by Allison Mitchell, also known for Guardians of the Galaxy 2014, Tomb Raider 2001, and The Last King of Scotland in 2006. Costume fitting the social context and general dynamics of the 1950s in which the film is set, how the idea of traditional femininity is symbolized through their clothing. Jankel speaks on how the chemistry between the two female main characters is both something she knew would work from the start as well as something that happened naturally. She details this saying, "I think it's probably a beautiful alchemy of both those thoughts, because visualizing Anna Paquin and Holliday Grainger together felt very emotional and connective, and it sort of instinctively deep down inside that there was a potential for this combination to ignite into something very special. The relationship that they had built was something that they just did develop organically and beautifully." So it flashes back to Charlie being a kid in 1950 in Scotland. His mom is Linda, who is a single mother with a factory job after her husband left the family. Her factory salary isn't enough to support the family. Charlie is bullied roughly and taken to Dr. Jean Markham. Markham teaches Charlie about the bees by her home and how to connect with them. Throughout this, Markham and Linda become close romantically, and this is the plot described by Jankel herself. The film is set in a cold summer in 1952. Dr. Jean Markham, a single middle upper class woman, has recently returned to town. She was forced into leaving 20 years earlier. She meets Linda Weeks, a factory worker who has been estranged from her philandering husband, with whom she has her son named Charlie. Linda and Charlie are evicted from the family home when Robert walks out, leaving Linda with nowhere to turn, until Dr. Markham, in need of a housekeeper, offers Linda and Charlie a home. The sensitive Charlie starts tendering to the bees in the doctor's hives after she tells them that they will listen to his secrets. When Charlie discovers that his mother and Jean are more than friends, all hell breaks loose. The dialogue of the film is influenced by the effect Jankel wants to have on the audience. She explains this by saying, "I would hope that the conversation would continue regarding what became of the characters, why they did what they did, and the choices they made on their societal circumstances. In the test screening of the film, there was a lot of dialogue about whether the outcome could have been different and if it should have been the case. The ending was very different from that of the book. In the film, the characters take a hold of their lives in a way that led to where they individually and inevitably needed to go, given the circumstances of the time. Some themes of the film were the challenges faced by the LGBTQIA+ community back in the 1950s, and how social circumstances, gender dynamics, and the historical context shape relationships and decisions." There is another thing that occurs in the film that I didn't touch on quite yet, saving the anticipation for the end. But no, I think this is an important part that happens in the film as well. So there's another character, Annie, who is the daughter of Robert's sister. So it's his niece. So it's Robert's niece, Annie. And Annie has a good relationship with Lydia, even though Lydia doesn't have a good relationship with her mother. And so Annie starts having this relationship with a boy, and you don't think that there's discrimination against it until you see that he is a person of color. And, referencing back to the time era that this is occurring, that could have definitely been factored into what occurs later down the line in the film. But Annie finds out she's pregnant and tells Lydia, and Lydia of course doesn't say anything, but I believe it doesn't show you that Annie's mom finds out, but they end up tying her down. So Linda's mom and Robert tie Annie down to a bed, and they get a doctor to perform what it would be considered an abortion procedure, but using things that are unsafe, and it's obviously illegal to do or to perform that at the time. And so, she's not approving of this. They pretty much forced her into this, and that kind of spirals into something else that happens in the film. I don't want to spoil too much. I mean, I could pretty much just tell you what happens, but that's when, because Jean is the doctor of the town, then finally they need her assistance in that, where she helps Annie kind of relive, because she's dying of blood loss, and her mom did that to her without her consent. Like, she was happily pregnant with this man's baby. She was in this loving relationship. He was going to take care of her, even though Lydia does say something along the lines of, like, are you sure about this? And Annie kind of refers back to, like, this isn't, like, my relationship isn't like your relationship. Like, he's nothing like your ex-husband or your husband. I don't even think that they're divorced yet, but he pretty much left her. So it's just a wild story. A lot of things happened, but I thought that was significant because it's very hard to watch. So there's a lot of, like, social stuff that goes on in this film. Not only are we talking about, social issues, but we're also talking about, like, gender inequality, the social class issues, sexual issues, all these issues. So yes. But this is, like, one of my new favorites. This is a film that I'm going to definitely keep recommending to people to watch, because, like, I'm not even just saying it to say it, but, like, this legitimately is a really great film and deserves a lot of recognition. Props to Anna Jankel, who is killing it right now. He just came out with Super Mario Brothers, so I can't wait to go check that out. Honestly, this is something that I challenge everyone, is to look up films that are directed by female filmmakers or non-binary filmmakers, and there's so many good ones that I haven't even gone around to discuss. So, let me know if there's a film in particular that you want me to discuss, and you can email that as well. Learning about Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman, and learning about Tell It to the Bees, like, these are these films that, like, really get me excited and enthusiastic about storytelling, because of the way that these people are already incorporating storytelling to the media and into their stories, and it encourages me as a filmmaker. So yes, I'm really excited for Tell You Soon to start getting wrapped up, and for production to start. We're still in our crowdfunding stages, so if you guys want to donate, please check out our Instagram page at Tell You Soon Film. We're going to be releasing a Seed and Spark campaign soon, so stay tuned for that. But any updates, check us out on Instagram. You see how I did that, though? I tied in my short film talking about someone else's film. That is all for this episode. I definitely went longer than I anticipated to go for this episode, but I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that you guys go watch this film afterwards. And I'm just going to keep saying it so you guys can actually go see it. If it's free on Amazon Prime, it's like, why not? All these free films that I'm recommending to you guys, you just gotta go watch. So take a watch. Let me know what you think. Please feel free to comment as well, and let us know about your experiences that you're having while watching these films and following along with us as well. All right. Thank you again for listening. This has been Film Spill, a Movie Night podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest. All are at Film Spill Pod. Tell a friend about the podcast if you like, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That will help other people find Film Spill too. And until next time, don't cry over a spilled film.